Alright, we're back. Like I said, we were going to have another video coming through, and I do need to point out there is an omission that I made in the previous video where, as I've talked about before, it's actually 9 o'clock right now, 9 p.m. Wednesday night, and of course the video I worked on just now, I actually started about 8:45 p.m. So, honestly, you're going to be seeing this Thursday morning, same with the other video. But in any case, that's really aside from the point. As I had also mentioned in the other video, a little bit of what I'm doing here is actually something that I worked on last night, and unfortunately I wasn't really thrilled with how I felt about, just how I came away with the video, but, that's a whole other thing. That's something we can talk about another time. We're just going to jump right into things, and, this one's really interesting for me, and of course, as y'all know, Vince McMahon, he's actually going to be starting up a new entertainment company, an entertainment hub company, or whatever this is supposed to be referred to as. This is going to be after the aftermath of the whole Janelle Grant situation. I mean, I'll be really honest about this. For one thing, a lot of this, at least on the surface, is not supposed to involve pro wrestling whatsoever. I don't believe that for a minute. I mean, it may not necessarily start out that way, but one way or another, it's only a matter of time. For one thing, we're talking about Vince McMahon here. And when we talk about Vince McMahon, let's be clear about a couple of things. One, we all actually enjoy pro wrestling for everything that it is and has been for as long as any of us can actually remember. And whether we like it or not, it's because of Vince. Moreover, it is very imperative to say that it's become quite remarkable how much the business actually has moved on away from Vince in a lot of aspects, especially WWE specifically. Now, really, as far as the whole thing with the lawsuit is concerned, I'm honestly not sure what is to be expected of that. I'm pretty sure there's a very good chance he'll still find a way to come out of it without very much issue. Unfortunately, the damage has been done, so that's where really any notion of him starting this new company is just... It is a little bit wild, albeit very much realistic. It's just incredibly wild, just knowing that, number one, there's still those handful of individuals, I'm not going to name them off, but they are going to be working closely with Vince on this new venture. But I'm going to be real interested to see who actually wants to go along with it at all, period. That's going to be my biggest question. And more than that, that's just in the event that he's actually able to survive this case in a way that is going to be conducive to him actually managing this entertainment hub without any issues. But I don't know, I guess we'll find out. I mean, chances are he probably won't get convicted. Again, this business will get off the ground, but man, just... I don't know. It's just Vince, and the only other thing I know to say is only in America. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that with that one. We're going to move right along, and on a bit more of a somber note, I do want to actually send best wishes to Chris Bay. Of course, he and Vikingo, El Hijo del Vikingo, were both stretchered away from the most recent TNA tapings that took place after Bound for Glory, and of course, really unfortunate situation, especially for Vikingo, who was already out with 7 months with a bad injury, and now he comes back and is already being stretchered out. It's just, he's not catching much of a break, and it's interesting. I'm pretty sure he still has the AAA championship. I don't know how that has continued, but all the same, you know, just what happened with Chris Bay is incredibly unfortunate, and I speak to this given the spinal neck issues that I've had over years for literally as long as I remember. It's nothing nice to deal with. I can't imagine ever having that kind of injury that would just put me on the shelf like that in such a way. And I don't even want to imagine what Chris Bay is going through. I don't even want to imagine what it was like for Big E either, as it sounds like it's something of that particular magnitude. But, you know, you just gotta hope for the best, and definitely hopes and prayers are out there for Chris Bay, his loved ones, and everyone involved. I mean, it just sucks that this happens to be a thing. He's one of the hottest young talents in the business today, and you know, him and Ace Austin have something incredible with ABC. You know, it just is, there's not enough that can be said about it, and I feel like at any point, whenever TNA is ready to do so, you could both pull the trigger on either him or even Ace Austin, you know, and you wouldn't go wrong either way. And with that in mind, definitely want to wish a speedy recovery to Chris Bay, and that's really all I can say on that. And we're going to move along to the final topic of the video here, which is going to involve the Bloodline. I talked in the other video about faction gang warfare. Man, it doesn't get much better than the Bloodline, and one reason is because this is one of the longest sustained storylines that I can remember that is as successful as it is, you know. And granted, it does go back specifically to Roman, you know, coming back, winning the Universal Championship, becoming the head of the table, tribal chief, and then obviously you had Jay along following, along with Jimmy thereafter. And the interesting thing for me with this is, of course, having added Solo along the way, you know, Solo is now leading an opposing version of the Bloodline with the Tongas and, of course, Jacob Fatu. And now you've got the reunion of Jay, Jimmy, and ultimately Roman coming up here Friday night. I gotta say, this is all coming along as we expected, and it's every bit as good as advertised, maybe even better. I mean, it just, I think we knew for months, especially with Roman returning, I believe it was back at SummerSlam, intervening in the Cody Solo WWE title match. It was just really, really clear to me that I think we all knew even before that this is what we were going to be getting. But with this all unraveling, unfolding the way that it is now to this point, I gotta say, this is just something else. And we've had merely one appearance from the final boss, which was back at Bad Blood. I mean, just so many of the things that are going on right now are just incredible. It's just remarkable because, again, keeping this story going, you know. Originally when I put this together, I was thinking it was something along the lines of what they were doing with the NWO, but I mean, I gotta say, especially what is it, I think 3-4 years in, it's definitely better. And again, it's been more sustainable, you know, and I don't know any other way to look at it other than it's been story of the year probably for the past couple of years, obviously, and even with this year. I mean, now we got to talk about it being story of the decade. I mean, I don't know any other way to look at this other than it's got to be some story of the decade type shit that we're talking about here. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's just where I'm at on that. Y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. Like, share, subscribe. And with that in mind, y'all know how we do. It's A&J, and there will be more.